Hey, Rachel. Alright, so this is part 3 of bedtime stories. Apologize, it's taking so long for me to do another one, but we're going back to what Keynes talked about in wages and unemployment. And this is, like, before I talked about his propositions about how the classical theory of wages and unemployment and how that really wasn't the classical theory, or definitely not what the Austrians thought, but now we're going to get into what Keynes actually thinks about his version of the theory. So, Section 2 of Chapter 2 is notable as the first attempt by Keynes in the general theory to disprove a fundamental proposition of traditional economics, that the most frequent cause of unemployment is excessive wage rates. This, of course, for the classical economics, is merely the parallel of the proposition that the most frequent cause for an unsold surplus of a commodity is the refusal of sellers to accept a price that will clear the market. If the proposition is not true with regard to labor, it is not true with regard to commodities either. Both propositions rest upon the same line of reasoning. Both are special cases of a wider proposition covering both commodities and services. So, basically what Hazlitt is saying is that supply and demand has to apply for everything. All goods, all services, and since labor is a service, it falls into that category of supply and demand. It's not a special case or anything. It is instructive to notice that Keynes never challenges this proposition head-on, or by any coherent and clear-cut argument. He attacks it rather by a series of oblique sallies, in which the argument is usually involved and obscure and often clearly fallacious. He begins by contending that labor is usually more interested in the money wage than the real wage. This is Keynes speaking on this.
Ordinary experience tells us that beyond doubt that a situation where labor stipulates within limits that the money wage rather than a real wage, so far as being a mere possibility, is the normal case, whilst workers will usually resist a reduction of money wages. It is not their practice to withdraw their labor wherever there is a rise in the price of wage goods.
So far as the United States is concerned, and I suspect so far as nearly every industrially advanced country is concerned, this contention is already obsolete. The big American unions all have their economists, the directors of research who are acutely aware of monthly changes in the official consumer price index. As of January of 1958, more than 4 million workers, moreover mainly in the heavy industries, steel, automobiles, railroads, had insisted on and secured contracts providing for the automatic wage increases with increases in the cost of living. So while it is true the unions will resist a fall in money wage rates, even if it is less than the fall in consumer prices, it is not true the unions will acquiesce in stationary wage rates when the consumer prices are rising. Even if Keynes's contention has been factually true, it would still have been irrelevant to the classical contention. The classical contention is that if wage rates, whether considered in terms of money wage rates or real wage rates, are above the level of the marginal productivity of labor, there will still be unemployment. Why is Keynes so concerned to make this point about labor's attitude towards money wage rates and real wage rates, respectively? The collectivist word labor implies that we need not think in terms of what individual workers would do or wish to do, but only in terms of what the union monopolists wish to do. He is concerned because he will be later eager to prove that while it is impossible to persuade unions to accept a cut in money wage rates, it will be easy to deceive them into accepting a cut in their real wage rate by a simple process of monetary inflation, erosion of the purchasing power of the monetary unit. And this is actually very influential in especially modern Keynesian thought, especially Paul Krugman and all the people that run the Federal Reserve. They think that they can just hide a decrease in wages by increasing inflation. And what they don't understand is it not only hurts the forefronts of the economy that need to have prices go down, but it hurts everyone, and it also doesn't work. It will be noticed that even in this argument, however, he tactically accepts the classical contention that the chief reason for unemployment is the existence of wage rates above the point of labor's marginal productivity. Basically, what the Austrians are saying is that every worker has their own level of marginal productivity, what they can give to a firm, like what they can create, and especially in a recession, these people are being paid more than they deserve to be paid, and the cost of labor is too high, and that causes unemployment. And Keynes goes on to say,
Moreover, the contention that unemployment, which characterizes a depression, is due to a refusal of labor to accept a reduction in money wages is clearly not supported by the facts. It is not very plausible to assert that the unemployment in the United States in 1932 was due either to labor obstinately refusing to accept a reduction in money wages or to obstinately demanding a real wage beyond what the productivity of the economic machine was capable of furnishing. Hazlitt goes on to say, the reader will notice that there is no real argument here, merely assertion. Keynes says it is not very plausible. That is, it is not plausible to Keynes, which proves absolutely nothing. Most of us require something more than ex cathedra pronunciations, you know? A trick that Keynes uses here and elsewhere is the attempt to discredit a doctrine by overstating it. The causes of the 1929 crisis and the Depression from 1930 to 1940 were complex. I shall not try to go into all of them here, but I do not know of any serious economist who maintained or maintains that the initiating cause of the 1929 crisis was excessive wage rates. What responsible economists did do and assert is that once the crisis had developed and demand and prices had collapsed, it was necessary for wage rates to adjust themselves to the reduced level of demand and of the prices if mass unemployment was to be averted. It was the failure of this wage adjustment to occur that led to a prolonged mass unemployment for 10 years. The insistence of unions on excessive wage rates is true. It may not always be a full explanation of total unemployment at any given time, but it is always part of the explanation. Though it is not always a sufficient cause, it cannot be dismissed, as Keynes dismisses it, as a necessary cause. Rigidity or stickiness in contractual interest rates and rents or unusual uncertainty or fear among buyers and consumers may also be causes, but they are more likely to be temporary causes. The longer mass unemployment is prolonged, the more warranted we are in assigning excessive wage rates as to be the dominant cause of it. Even Keynes feels the need of offering reasons why he finds the attribution of unemployment to excessive wage rates not very plausible. But the reasons he offers are either fallacious or contrary to established fact. An explanation of the passage I've just quoted on, he goes on to say, wide variations are experienced in the volume of unemployment without any apparent change either in the minimum demands of labor or in its productivity. Labor is not more translucent in the Depression than in the boom. Far from it. Nor is its physical productivity less. These facts, from experience, are prima facie grounds for the questioning of adequacy of classical analysis. I'm about to end here, but just on a last note, I'm sure you already know what prima facie means. Prima facie in Latin means on face. So what he's saying is these inconsistencies in this idea that wage rates are not included or that prices can vary drastically within a single few period of time without worker productivity going up and down drastically. He's saying that's on face a reason to question the Austrian analysis. But I hope you're asleep by now. But anyways, if not, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Let me see.